Hey guys, how you doing? This is the next short video that relates to the New Deal and Franklin Roosevelt's programs. So in this short video, I'm going to talk about the three programs that help farmers. So we know that farmers had been struggling throughout the 1920s and then of course into the 1930s. Their biggest problem had to do with overproduction. They were just making too much food and the demand for that food was low. So with a high supply and a low demand, farmers' prices dropped quite a bit and farmers struggled. Now, as a result of those low prices, farmers then also had trouble paying off their debts to the bank that they had accrued as a result of farming. So in 1933, the government passed the Agricultural Adjustment Act. Now, that act did two things. First, it provided funds for farmers to help pay their loans off to the banks under the Farm Mortgage Act. The second thing it did, though, probably was a little more important. This was the part that decided how much food the country needed and then decided with farmers how much food to produce. So every spring, the Agricultural Adjustment Administration would set quotas with farmers to determine how much grain they needed and how much livestock they needed, hoping that they wouldn't plant too much or raise too many animals. As a result of setting these quotas with the farmers, basically telling them this is how much you can make, eventually the amount of surplus went down and the prices began to go up. Within 2 years of the program, prices went up by 50%. Now, if you were a farmer who had 100 acres, for example, and the government said, well, we only need you to use 75 because if you use all 100, you'd produce too much. The government told the farmers that they would pay them to leave part of their land lie fallow, or in a sense, not use it. So the government set these limits to how much farmers could make, and over time it did make the surplus go down and the farmers' prices go up. The next law was called the Resettlement Administration. Now this does exactly what it says. It helps to resettle farmers to land that's better for them to farm. Now we know that in the area of the Tennessee Valley and in the Great Plains states where the Dust Bowl had hit, land was not very fertile. So the Resettlement Administration helped farmers move from land that was not fertile to land that was much more fertile. It gave farmers grants of money and loans to move, and then also gave them loans to buy machinery, pay for seed, and even fertilizers that they could use on their new soil and their new farms. The last one for the farmers is called the Rural Electrification Act. And again, the name helps you know what it does. It brings electricity to rural areas. So many farming communities did not have electricity, which made their jobs even that much more difficult. So the government, under the Rural Electrification Administration, loaned about $300 million out to farming communities to build power stations and run power lines from towns and cities out to farming communities. In 1941, by the time the program was about finished, 4 out of every 10 farms and farming communities had electricity. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but it was an improvement over what it had been previously. So those are the 3 laws and programs that help the farmers. Thanks.